So COVID really started taking root in March of 2020. And we were imagining, like everyone at the time, 6 weeks, things will quiet down. Then it went to a couple of months because our work was primarily in person. All of that work was delayed or postponed. The months dragged on. And then eventually it was you who asked this question of, do we need to think of ourselves as a virtual company first and an in-person company second, which sounds like a simple question, but is actually a pretty dramatic worldview shift.
The disruption of COVID became an opportunity for us. Ultimately, it's the company has benefited from disruption, and that was recognizing that we're now in, for a while here, a virtual world. What's been interesting is we're going to be in this virtual world a long time now.
Right.
We barely left it, from the lingering impacts of COVID, and so we've set a whole new way of learning and interaction has settled in.
Mm-hmm. And it gave us actual space and time to work on products for our own e-learning platform. As we began to think about things differently. And also in the early part of COVID, we started working on an assessment tool for interruption or disruption to try to understand was it short-term or long-term. And we worked on that for a while with a group of people who were thinking with us, and then we put it away. Because we started to focus on developing some of these other things like level 2 of our e-learning platform. And recently we picked it up again and looked at it with fresh eyes and have further developed that as a strategic thinking tool to be able to use with our clients.
What's the nature of disruption? Short-term, long-term? High impact, low impact? Is it a true worldview shift?
Right.
Or just a modest change in how we do some things? And so it's been really interesting to think about disruption in a much more structured sense. How can we analyze disruption through a worldview lens?
We ended up with a couple of clients, well, more than a couple, who we'd never met in person, and we were doing some pretty deep, profound work with these clients, and now we've only recently just met them in person, and that never would have happened pre-COVID. Those projects just wouldn't have been there without those in-person meetings first.
Yeah. Been good for us.
In some ways. Well, it's been surprisingly good for us. When I think about the graphically animated Worldview Intelligence for All series that we created, it was an idea born out of client conversations around a virtual environment to be able to reach people across an organization. And it stretched our thinking from these would be you and me recording PowerPoint sessions to what we now think is a remarkable piece of work.
Yeah.